Good morning, English 119. This is Grant, and I'm recording this just to make sure that if you're having trouble, knowing how to write an essay for a presentation, I'm recording this video to try and help you through those sorts of problems and maybe clarify for you how best to write something for a presentation, which will be your Unit 2 project. So again, I'm going to go back to the they say, I say model. A lot, you've seen this comic before, but I'm going to stress the importance of using they say, I say. So the first thing that I want to do is to think about how to develop your thesis and find some gaps. We want to do some common ground, right? And I think I've talked about this before in Unit 1. Most people assume something, right? And then there's a disruption. However, tweets, academics, research, right? And then in this paper, I will add, argue, or prove something else, okay? So there's the three things: common ground, disruption, and claim. And you can't do disruption unless you've read something. And so this is where I would highly recommend the text that we've used in class. And then the best part to start writing is to do 3 general ideas or observations that you have about your topic, 3 assumptions, and 3 ways in which your initial reading and research about the topic might challenge these assumptions, right? Might challenge the way that this graph is interpreted. Okay, the other thing, because this is a rhetoric class, we've talked a lot about visual rhetoric, but you're going to need to employ some traditional rhetoric. And so I like this example of Harry Potter characters as the embodiment of 3 of the major rhetorical devices, right? Logos, logic, reason, using numbers, using visualizations is an easy way to get logos. Pathos, right? You still want to tell a story. And we've been talking a lot about this in class. Like, you want to bring the bodies back. You want the data not to completely obscure people, right, from the conversation. And then ethos, you want to seem like you are trustworthy. And the way that you're doing that is not making it feel like an opinion piece, but you're using data, you're using other scholars to make your point. The other point that I want to make about writing, and I hope that these feeder projects have shown you, is writing's a process, right? Like, you want to chunk it up. You do not want to write your whole paper the night before, right? You want to write the paper weeks ahead of time, okay? And when you edit your first draft should not be the thing you turn in. You should be able to change it, modify it, rearrange the sentences, right? And I mean, the biggest thing is that you should be revising your work, okay? Like, you don't want points off for just misspelling words or making sentences that just don't make any sense, okay? The other point is you want to make sure you're always citing. That was a small issue that I saw in the first unit, but like in all of your writing, you should be using outside sources. And in the context of this class, you can just use the text we talk about in class, okay? And it prevents you from making your writing feel opinionated, right? When you're using outside sources and citations, it's not just about what you think. You're having a conversation with other people, okay? So you do not want to use I say all the time. You do want to use it, but you want to use it sparingly. And that's how you get a balanced point of view, right? Where it's a conversation and it's not just you talking. The other thing that tends to happen, and you want to be careful of, is that you're not misrepresenting what the other person is talking about, right? You always want, if you're using a they say, that argument to be on its best possible terms. Okay, so you don't want to go after the person that you're disagreeing with, right? You want them, you want their words to be at their best possible. So also to think about audience when we're doing this, and I think I've talked about this again, like you got to look at your sentence beginnings, because then what it looks like is you're just doing a list of description or arguments or whatnot. And that's really, really boring. So like I've said in They Say, I Says before, they have these great blocks where you can kind of fill them in with your own words. But these are ways that you can make your writing seem interesting, right? Like you see on these sentences, we have varying beginnings, varying styles, right? Like you can say, states, according, writing, right? Complicates, basically. You can make your writing more interesting by just varying the kind of words that you use around it, okay? And the other thing that you want to think about is when you're doing I say is like, where does it land in your paper, right? So, you can basically use two sources for this piece of writing, right? This presentation. And you can bookend it with your own words. So that's one way that you can do it. Another way is to just change the paragraph so it's not summary and evaluation of one source in one paragraph, but you're summarizing the sources and then evaluating them, right? And this works well for sources that either say the exact same thing or say similar things or say different things, right? So that's another way. The final way, which I think is extremely hard to pull off, is that you essentially let the conversation flow. And so you're just saying things in between, but you're providing two different points of view, right? You're providing one scholar's point and another. And most of the time when you're doing something like this, you're trying to agree with that second scholar, or you're saying that the second scholar is right in these aspects. Okay, so there's different ways that you can, look at the way to structure this kind of paper presentation. But I hope that you see in all of these, the blue really represents the they say. So you need to bring in extra sources and you need to kind of chop up your words with other people's words. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions about writing or this Unit 2 project. Thank you.